Hey Yoga's Arc family, I'm Noelle and we're doing a yoga class on healthy backs. So especially if you get back pain, chronic back pain, this is a good practice for you. So if you have a couple of beach towels or one good thick yoga blanket, either one will do. We're going to start with it. So this will be a gentler class, so we can focus more on fine-tuning things and some of the things that we need if we have back pain or to make sure our backs are healthy. So if you have a strong yoga practice, you want to do that in addition to this, you can, or maybe you do this once a week, or you take some of the things you learn in here and bring them into your practice. Something that, some of the things that feel good here, add them into the practice that you do outside of this video. So I do want to say one other thing before we start. Yoga's Arc wants you to put your health first. Yoga is an activity that requires physical exertion. So please ensure that you're in the proper health and condition to do yoga. And if you're unsure, if you have an existing medical condition, for example, please consult your doctor or physician before you begin your yoga regimen. Okay. And by the way, after you take your class, after you watch the video, if you want to add any questions or comments to the YouTube video after the practice is over, that'll be awesome and I'll take a look. So we're going to come to our mats, and I recommend you turn your mat sideways today. And we'll start with the beach towels. So if you haven't gotten your beach towels, this is a good time. Just hit the pause button and go grab them. All right, so for those who have them now, we're going to take a beach towel, and this one is just folded in half once, like this. And we're going to fold it one more time. So it's about this length. It's maybe, longer than my torso, or maybe from my tailbone to the head, to my head. It's approximately that height, I think. And we're going to roll it into a little hot dog shape, a long, skinny roll. And then same thing with the second one, unfold it to about the same shape. And they won't be the exact same shapes unless they're the same towels. That's okay. They don't have to be. I'm just going to roll a second one. I just want to make it a little thicker. If you only have one beach towel, no problem. Just do the one. And then, so it should look like this. So to get this with a standard yoga blanket, if you have that, you'll want to unfold the yoga blanket to where it's pretty big. So sometimes in a studio they're folded like this and sometimes like this. Well, we're going to unfold it again so it's pretty long. And then turn it sideways and we'll roll from there. So you get pretty much the same exact, well, not exact. I was going to say the same exact roll almost. So I shouldn't say exact. Pretty close. Okay, I'm going to toss my blanket aside and stick with my towels. And we'll sit on the floor, not the towel. But this will come into, this end should come into your low back. So you're gonna lower yourself down and you're gonna lie your spine, lengthen your spine all the way down. And then when you get your head down, you'll lift up kind of bunch up and lift up the towel anywhere you feel like you need a little more, support. And of course, you could always add another towel going across for your head. Now, if you've never done this before, you're going to be like, oh, this is weird, okay? I know, the first time it feels weird, but then just watch, feel. Allow your body to get heavier. Notice how quickly it actually becomes really kind of nice. But it's going to get better. We're going to take a deep breath in. Open mouth and audibly release some tension. Notice how your body sank a little bit more around and over this blanket roll. Now you're going to stay here while I'm going to sit up. And of course, this is your body and your practice. So even if I say you're going to do this, I actually want you to do whatever feels right to you. So it is important that you know that we are going to work in a pain-free zone, and we're not going to push through any kind of pain. We want to back off wherever there's pain and know that this is your body and your practice. Let's take another deep breath into the belly. Open your mouth and Sigh it out. And then you can return to breathing in and out through the nose, or begin that if you hadn't been doing that yet. We're going to sink a little deeper with each exhale. And feel the opening of the front of the chest, and the fronts of your shoulders, insides of the arms. And if your arms are sitting face down or on their sides, roll them out a little bit more. You might even take them a little farther so you can get them palms face up. So you really can get the insides of the arms open. We breathe in. We breathe out. And what we're doing is we're sending a signal to the nervous system that if you're in a stressful state, like fight or flight state, which a lot of us are stuck in a lot of the time, this opening of the chest is a signal to the nervous system that we're safe. We're totally safe, and we can relax, and we can come out of fight or flight and into rest and relaxation, rest and digest. It's called different things from different people, but they're the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and we really do want to make that switch. And something as simple as just changing the body posture can do that, because the more we cave forward, like we typically round our shoulders forward, most of us do, and then a lot of us cave our chest forward, and that is a body positioning of protection. And so the nervous system uses that as a clue, and it thinks that we're in a stress, we have a reason to be stressed. So we're releasing that, and feel already the change of state that I'm going to assume you've probably had, both in your emotional state, your sympathetic and parasympathetic state, and also physical state. Probably feels better. Same thing with the breath, does the same thing. So in fact, we're going to do a breathing practice right now. You're still on your back over your towel, and we'll do a breathing practice that is really specifically designed for helping the body to come down, to relax, and also it creates a greater capacity to breathe, and it helps your body take in deeper breaths, so you don't have to try to as hard. And so the key to this is that we want our exhales to be longer than our inhales. If you find that really challenging, that's okay. Then your goal will be to make your exhales as long as your inhales, or maybe just a little bit longer. Ultimately, the goal is to be able to double the length of time that you breathe out compared to how long you breathe in. So we're going to do a little counting as we breathe in, and you're going to time your counting to where you get to 5 when your lungs are full. So you take a breath in, count that to 5, but if 4 works better for you, that's fine. But I'm going to just say 5. And then when you breathe out, see if you can get to 10. And it's okay if you don't, but give it a try. If you did only count to 5, go to 8. Now, if you only get to 7, you counted to 5 and you exhaled for 7, that's a win. Let's do it again. We breathe in for 5. And we breathe out, and we can see if we can get to 10. You're going to go somewhere between 8, 9, 10 probably. But again, if you breathe in for 5 and you barely breathe out for 5, good job, and keep working on it. So let's do one more time. Notice how you feel. I'm going to ask you to do a lot of watching and observing, really paying attention to how your body feels. I would say there's one cause. There's a lot of causes for back pain, but there's one cause really, ultimately, and it's tension. But there's a lot of different reasons for tension. Okay, some of it is like stress tension. Let's stretch our arms out wide and really reach the fingers, and then take them up. Breathe in. Exhale, release them. Let your arms kind of slide back down like angel wings, like snow angel wings. You can do that again. So another cause of tension in the body as you move your arms up and down is maybe we've gotten really stiff and there's not a lot of mobility, and that creates physical tension in the muscles in the body. So notice as you move your arms up and down, what kind of tightness might be there. Some of us are super flexible or hyper flexible, and that's me. And so we don't have as much stability, and that's a cause for back pain too. So If you're very flexible, your goal should not be to gain more flexibility if you want a healthier structure and body, right? It should be more stability. And if you're really stiff and not flexible at all, then one of your big goals will be to gain more mobility, more flexibility. All right, so we're going to start moving a little bit, wiggle your body back and forth a little, and then let's roll off. We'll slide our towels off to the side. We'll use it, we'll come back to it in a minute, but not yet. Okay, so come back onto your back. Your knees are up, and we'll place our feet on the floor. And we're going to start with mobility and body awareness through our pelvis, which is definitely a cause of lower back pain, or a contributor, I should say, to lower back pain, is pelvic health. We're going to flatten the low back into the floor, exhale, and then inhale to arch the back. Exhale to flatten the low back. Continue that movement back and forth and feel the pelvis is rocking forward and back, and feel how that then connects with the spine as you arch and flatten. And everything going on in your hips and low back also contributes to upper back pain. So we'll do, even if your pain is all upper back, we'll do lower back. And FYI, for years I thought really my problem was just my upper back pain, because it was just so much worse than my lower back pain. And I'm talking since elementary school. I had chronic upper back pain and neck pain, and that's gone now, thank goodness. So yes, you can improve and get rid of that chronic pain for a lot of it anyway. I can't promise that for everyone. Once I got rid of that, I realized, oh, I do have work to do on my lower back. It just wasn't a big deal compared to my upper. Okay, so for this time, we're going to exhale, flatten the low back, and hold it for a minute. And then I'm going to ask you to squeeze your pelvic floor. Kind of pull it in. I don't mean the glutes, which a lot of times we do. I'm talking about the pelvic floor. It's between pubic bone to tailbone. There's some muscle in there. And from sit bone to sit bone, there's muscle that way. So we're going to squeeze it in. And then as we breathe in, we'll arch the back and release it. It's really important that we release it as well, because sometimes it gets stuck in tightness like any other muscle. So we're going to flatten the low back, exhale, draw the pelvic floor in and pull it up towards your belly button. And then inhale, arch the back and release it, definitely release it. Okay, so as you continue that movement, exhale, squeeze pelvic floor, inhale, release. We want to tighten the pelvic floor muscles because they hold up our organs, and it's also, those muscles are directly connected to your abdomen and your spinal stability. So let's do one more. Exhale, squeeze, draw the pelvic floor in and up. Inhale, release, release, release. Arch the back. And then let your back sink back down to the floor. So now we're going to work a little bit differently with the hip that will connect to your lower back. And let's take the right knee out to the side. You're dropping it toward the floor. Now, actually, for you, it might be your left knee. Let's just do whichever one is toward me where you can see me, right? Because you're going to turn your head with your knee. So it's as if your knee and your nose are connected. Wherever your knee goes, your nose is going to go. So you're going to come right back up again. So your knee and your nose open toward me, your front leg. You're coming onto the outer blade of that foot. It's pretty much staying in place other than going to the outer blade. And then you bring knee and nose right back up again. So let's go one more time. Turning the head, opening the knee, and then back up. And pay attention, how does this feel in the crease of my hip, of the leg that's moving? And then is my pelvis rocking to the side when the knee goes down? Let's go down again. Do I feel any kind of pull on the other leg or in my low back? What muscles are moving without me actively, consciously trying to do that? Let's now slide that foot, of the leg that you're moving all the way down the mat. So your front leg is just sliding. It's really heavy, so you're not actively pushing a lot of muscles to work. You're just sliding, using these muscles mostly in your hips, but you might activate your belly, your abdomen also. Let's now bring knee, nose, and your toes straight up toward the ceiling. So you're a little bit of activating of the leg. Release them back out. So they're going to open back to the side again, the knee, nose, and toes. And then from the hips,
You're going to pull your foot and your knee back. Using these muscles in your hips, you're just drawing it back. And then both knee and nose come back upright. We'll do that 2 more times. So as you're doing this, knee and nose go out. Pay attention. Sensations in the low back. What if I press my abdomen in, like my belly button to my spine as I slide my leg down? Does that actually feel more efficient and feel better or not? Does it matter? Let's go knees and nose up and toes up. Feel the leg totally relax again as you open them back to the right and draw the foot back to place. And then when the foot's drawn back, knee and nose go upright. So we've got 1 more. We're loosening up hips. We're getting to better know the way that our muscles work, the way that we habitually use them, and better, more efficient ways to use them to move things. So we're repatterning our way of moving, repatterning our nervous system for how we move. It's a brilliant practice. It's called the Feldenkrais method. Let's come up. Okay, so with this practice, it's you don't need to time inhales and exhales with any specific movements. You just want to breathe nice and easy. And let's go to the other side. So your back knee and your nose are going to open up, and your foot pretty much stays in place, other than that it's coming onto the outer blade of the foot, and then it will come right back up again. We're doing this with so much curiosity and observation and awareness of all of the subtle movements and changes that are deep within, smaller muscles that are stabilizing. We don't usually pay as much attention to them because they don't move big body movements, they just stabilize. So there's just real subtle movement to them. This is going to be our last time coming up like this, and then we'll add the next part. So let's take the knee and the nose back to the side. And then this time, your whole leg is heavy as you do this. We're just sliding the leg down the mat. It's relaxing. Once it gets straight, let's lift it back up. Well, we're not lifting it. We're turning them up toward the ceiling. Knee, nose, and toes. Relax them back out to the side. And then using the muscles of your hips, drawing the legs back. So we're trying to keep that leg totally relaxed. So that's why the muscles in the hip flexor. But you might find that a little flattening of your back by pressing your belly button towards your spine can make it more better and easier and feel better. So knee and nose go out to the side, and then slide the leg back down, straight down the mat. And then a little lighting up or activation of the leg muscles to get the knees, toes, and nose upright. And then open your leg back up, let it relax. Use your hip muscles to draw the foot and the knee back into place, maybe flattening the low back, and then take it back upright. Okay, it's your 3rd time doing it, I think. Hopefully I'm not giving you an extra one, but with the most curiosity so far. Everything that you feel as you take the knee out and slide it down. Very good. Okay, well, I love this next thing. It's for the low spine. We're going to scrub away. This is the way I think of it. We're going to scrub away inflammation and congestion and maybe some of the scar tissue that might be in your low back, in your low spine, in your pelvis. So we're going to bring the feet together and bring them as pretty close to the seat, like maybe the distance of a hand between your seat and your heels or something like that. And just bring your knees together and your inner ankles. So it's a tight squeeze, maybe a little effort is required. And then the idea is to move the knees about 1 inch side to side. So it's a really tiny movement, 1 inch side to side, and go as fast as you can. Okay, so we're getting to know how to make that happen efficiently, where I can get really fast in this tiny little movement. And you might find that all of a sudden, within a few seconds, it kind of clicks to, oh, I got to activate these certain muscles in order to give myself more control to go faster. So for me, it's a definite pulling of my belly in to flatten my low back. But whenever I start, I'm not doing that because my pattern's a little different, right? My habitual pattern. And then all of a sudden I find that change, and then I can go a lot more
efficiently, more quickly. So we're building up some heat in there. You probably feel it, maybe in your inner thighs, maybe in your pelvis where your deep abdominal muscles are, the transverse abdominis. You might feel kind of a scrubbing, but it's a nice scrubbing. And relax. Oh yeah, hopefully you built up a bit of warmth in there. Breathe in and out. So if you have some tight constrictions, this is great, what we just did. That kind of wagging or what I think of as scrubbing. Okay, so let's move up to the upper body a little bit. I'm going to ask you to grab your blanket or towels again so you can put your head on it. And we're going to turn, everybody will face we're going to face each other. So you'll come onto your side, like fetal position facing me. And you're just going to use the towels for your pillow here. Okay, so you're on one shoulder. Let's not round the back, like if true fetal position, I think is kind of more of a rounded back. We want to have the back fairly straight. And you're just going to stack your bent knees, and you'll stack your arms as well, one on top of the other. So you're facing me. Let me pull this back a bit. And then, but I flip it over. You're facing me, one hand stacked on top of the other. And we're going to reach the top hand, a little past the bottom hand, and then pull it back. So you're literally dragging and sliding your top hand onto your bottom one. So I want you to really feel the warmth of your hand and let it be heavy as you're going to go a little farther back the next time toward your armpit, and you're going to slide that hand back and then slide it again toward your chest this time. And notice you're kind of starting to twist a little bit. And we're just breathing as we go. Keep reaching first past the bottom arm and hand, and then go a little farther to maybe your same shoulder, your back shoulder. And then let's go one more time. We're going to reach down, glide our hands down, really caress, reach, and then take it back all the way into that twist. Let your head turn away from me if that feels okay to you. Breathe in and breathe out. Let your jaw relax. We're going to slide an inch our way back into the center of our mat. You might keep your head on your towel if you want, but it actually might be nice to take the head off of the towel. I'll leave it up to you. Take a moment in this position with your knees up to feel from shoulder to shoulder. Does one shoulder feel different from the other? Now, the first time I did that, I expected the top shoulder to be the one that felt better, but it was actually, there's just like this calmness, openness in the shoulder that was on bottom. What I love about this exercise is we're compressing that bottom shoulder and working out all the inflammation and the tightness. So you're giving yourself a massage with your body weight. It's really awesome. So don't tell your massage therapist you're doing that. She might get jealous. We're going to do the other side. So I'm going to flip to the opposite side. You might want to do that too. And by the way, if I didn't tell you in the beginning to turn your mat sideways, you might want to do that. I think you'll see most things better that way, or everything better that way. We're going to come onto the opposite side now. Fetal position, head relaxing on a towel so you're not really kinking your head a lot. And then top hand on top of bottom hand. Let me back up a little. Okay, and we're going to reach a little past that bottom hand and then pull the hand back. So now as we continue to go, you pulled it back to almost your elbow. You can feel, now that you know what we're doing, you can feel that compressive work happening. And we're going to come all the way back to the front shoulder this time. Really let your hand slide on the other arm so that you're giving yourself the benefits, the healing effects and benefits of touch. Maybe back to your chest. We'll come back to that back shoulder. You can turn your head back with you if you like. Okay, and we'll draw it back and let's go all the way into a twist this time. Allow your head to twist if you like. Turning your head away toward that hand that was on top. Breathe in
And breathe out. And let's come back to fetal position. We're going to come up to hands and knees. So if you are on a hard floor and want to use your towels for your knees, you can unroll this. I'm just going to skip that for myself, but you can unroll your towels and put your knees on the towels. Don't make them too thick, because then we don't want to throw the hips off out of alignment with the shoulders. You know, if your blanket's too thick, then your hips will be kind of high. So come to hands and knees. And cat-cows, they're commonly done. So if you've been doing yoga, you might have done a million cat-cows. But we're going to pay extra attention because we're trying to change patterns of movement. And that's really all of yoga, what it should be. But we're specifically thinking about how we are moving, and maybe moving a little different. Because if we have back pain, we want to move a little different than how we've normally moved. So let's take our first cat pose. We're going to start our movement, whether we're going in and out into cat or cow. We're going to start by tilting the pelvis. You'll initiate your movement with your breath by exhaling and tuck your tailbone down. Press your spine up, but drop your head. Inhale, lifting the tailbone first. Let the spine drop down and let your heart shine through as you lift your head a little bit. That's your inhale. So exhale, tailbone first. Spine follows as you round it. Drop your head. Now real quick here, make sure your hands in this position are under your shoulders. You probably will have to draw them back a little bit. And then leave them there as you continue. That's going to give you more leverage. Breathe in and then exhale to breathe out. Okay, we'll add one more thing. We want to add a little inner thigh strength. A lot of times back pain, we're just not fully balanced in where we're strengthened. So let's add a little change to this. We're going to widen the knees just a little bit. So they're a little beyond your outer hips maybe. And then as we tuck our tailbone, drop our head and round the spine, we're going to squeeze our inner thighs together. Like we're trying to bring our knees closer together. Then release that and relax it as you come to your cow pose. Breathing in, exhale, cat. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale, release, relax. And one more time. Let's hold this. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale as you come back to cow. Broaden your collarbones. And then exhale, we'll take the hips back toward the heels. And now you can sit in child's pose, which means that you're going to walk your arms further, let your forehead come down. Or if you're like me and prefer a little more movement, you can rock forward and back a little bit. Very good. Take a breath. We'll come back to hands and knees again. Okay, so from hands and knees, tabletop, we're going to take, make sure the hands are below your shoulders. Knees are in line with your hip bones. That's where your hips really are. It's behind those hip bones. Okay, and then we'll take the right leg straight back behind us. Now, if you look at me, there's a tendency for people to do this. We overcompensate with different muscles, and that's patterns of tension where we overuse certain muscles and underuse others. And this would be maybe an underuse of the transverse abdominis, your deepest abdominal muscles. So let's bring that right hip bone down so that your knees and your toes are facing down. And then pull the belly right up into your low back. Ribs in as well. We're going to hold here and maybe lift up from the inner thigh and inner knee just a little higher. Breathing in and out. Now we're going to take the right leg out about 1 foot or so, maybe 2 to the side, but the toes stay down. So we're not going so far that the toes turn out. And then bring them back in line. So we're causing our spinal stability muscles to work here
by taking the leg out a little bit, not a ton, and bring it back in line. One more time, and squeeze. And now we're going to put the toes down with the toes curled under or pointed. Either one is fine. We'll slide the leg farther left until the right leg is crossing the left, and we're squeezing the inner thighs together. Right, so we're kind of flushing out the lymphatic fluid inside our legs there, and then we're going to lengthen. So try to tuck your tailbone just slightly. It's not really tucking, but we're working toward that. Reach the crown of your head forward and get long through your spine, and then we're going to start turning till we can hopefully see our left foot, or we're going to try at least, right? We may not be able to see. It's actually the right foot, not the left foot, but it's to the left. So feel that you've got a side bend through the right side of the body, and you might, if you have your toes curled under, you might press your heel back. Good, and we'll slide that leg back around. Now we'll do this one more time with the leg lifting, toes down, knees down. Lift from the inner thigh and knee, belly and ribs in. And if you want to add the arm this time, you extend your left arm forward, palm in or up. And we'll take the arm out as the leg goes out, so they're going opposite directions, and we bring them back in line. Let's do it 2 more. We breathe in to take the leg and arm out. We breathe out to bring them back in line. Take the hand down, knee down, and sit back to child's pose. Okay, so recover for a moment. You can come to a downward facing dog if you prefer. If you're a loving down dog and you want the energy of it, go ahead and do that now. So I just want to emphasize they're called the multifidi muscles. They're little tiny muscles that go up and down your spine. And by holding your spine suspended in tabletop and then lifting your leg and taking your arms and leg out like that, it forces those muscles to work. And so that's how we strengthen them. We create better stability in our backs. And let's go for the other leg. Back to hands and knees. We're going to extend the left leg back and then lift it up in the air, and then activate your transverse abdominis to pull the left hip downward. So if you don't have any idea what the transverse abdominis is, don't worry about it. You'll be doing it if you get the left hip downward, toes and knees down. And we're just going to try to lift a little bit more through the inner hamstring by lifting from the inner thigh and the inside of the knee. Pull your belly and ribs in. We're still holding here. This is also creating strength and stability for the back. Breathing. And now let's take the leg out slowly 3 times, definitely no more than 2 feet, but you don't even have to go beyond 1 foot. We're just needing to move it side to side so our back muscles can work. You're also getting hamstring and glutes here at the same time. Let's put the toes, not the foes. They are not your foes. We'll put the toes down and then slide the left foot to the right so it's crossing as far as we can, and get a good squeeze of your inner groin muscles, your lymphatic system in there, and then tailbone away from your head, crown of the head forward. So you feel the stretch and the length of your spine, and then begin turning to the right with your head. You're stretching through the left side of the body, and maybe if your toes are curled under, you'll press through the heel. And we're going to slide that leg back around. Let's lift it up again. Inner thigh lifting, belly and ribs lifting, so you're really integrating the front of your body to the back of your body and your torso. And then if you want to add the arm this time, right arm extends forward and we'll open the arm and the leg out, or just the leg is fine, and bring them back in. And we'll go back out. Breathe in to bring them in. One more time. Exhale, take the arm out. Inhale, take it in. Hand comes down, knee comes down. Okay, so we're going to either go into child's pose or downward facing dog. So if this is your first child's pose for the day, I'm going to talk through it a little bit. Let's widen the hands a little wider than the shoulders and spread the fingers way out. And then curl your toes under. Begin lifting your knees up off the floor. And before you even straighten your legs, let's really press long. So we've got a good bend in both of our knees. We're pressing our ribs toward our thighs. So notice
how your spine probably feels straight here. If you look at my video, my back's pretty straight. Now, as long as I can keep it straight, I'm going to start straightening my legs. They may never straighten. And if you watch me, this is what happens for a lot of people when they do straighten the legs. It pulls on the back and then they get round in the back, kind of like this. So we want a straight spine. That's more important than straight legs. So you can bend your knees a little or a lot to get the tailbone back and the back straight. And then the knees can be bent, and that's fine. Now, if you can, straighten your legs and keep your back straight, awesome. Do it. But then at the same time, if you're really flexible, you might cave in like this. So let's not. We want to puff up a little bit so we get a nice straight back. Good. And we're going to come to a plank. So for some of us, it'll be full plank with the hands down. You might bring them under your shoulders a little bit more. For some of us, it's going to be knees down, and you let your hips come in line. And then let's take it back to child's pose. I'm going to have you take a few breaths in and a few breaths out. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's do one standing, strengthening type of position. If you want to come into downward facing dog, you can. You'll bend your knees and start walking your hands backwards towards your feet. If you're down in child's pose, try lifting your knees up, bend your knees, and see if you can walk your hands back. And if that doesn't feel right to you, just come up to standing in the best way that feels good to you. So with the bent knees, most of us will round our spine and roll up one vertebra at a time. I think I said we'll do one pose standing, but it might be a couple poses. Roll your shoulders. That's one of them. Roll those shoulders. And then turn your body toward me. So a couple things I want to talk about. One cause, really common cause of low back pain for flexible people is our hamstrings are too stretched out. And I know you probably love the fact that you can go straight legs and just touch the floor, but trust me, that's a contributor, a major contributor to your back pain. And really, functionally, we only need to be able to come to here to be able to have full function of our hamstrings. Anything beyond that is more than necessary, and then this is just totally not helping. Although it sounds cool and it looks cool, it's not super helpful. So let's take the arms out and up, and we're going to play with this a little bit. Breathe in, take your hands to your hips, and take your seat back. You can have a little tiny bend in your knees, and we're going to try to come to a 90-degree angle with the body, other than the little bend in the knees there. Okay, so from here, this is how I often do my sun salutations instead of a forward fold, because I've already got overly loose hamstrings. And we need to strengthen those. Okay, most of us who do yoga need to strengthen those. So I often will come here, and I hold it while everybody does their forward folds. And then they do their half lift, and this is my half lift. I'm strengthening. And they do their forward folds again, and then we rise up. Now, yes, sometimes I will do a forward fold. Most of the time I skip it. Exhale, and this is where I am the whole time, right? If this is too much, you can have hands here or down here. So that's just my recommendation. We're not going to do sun salutations because I really want to give you a bunch of healing stuff to do. Let's come on down to the floor. We'll come all the way onto our bellies. If you want to do like a, the whole chaturanga thing, you can do that. But we're going to come down all the way onto our bellies and take our hands right underneath our shoulders and squeeze the elbows back. By squeezing elbows back, you should be pulling shoulders back naturally. Try to bring your feet together, the insides of your knees and your ankles. Squeeze them. Squeeze your glutes, and then not using your hands. They'll be on the floor, but let's squeeze the back, the elbows, the shoulder blades to lift the chest up. Breathe in. Exhale, lower down. We're going to now slide our hands out to the right and to the left. So each hand is about 12 inches outside of the shoulder, like directly out from the shoulder. And we'll lift the palms up and have just our fingertips down. So it's like a little spider thing going on here, right? So just outside of your shoulders. And then elbows back, not up, elbows back. Feel how that pulls your shoulders back.
And then we're gonna lift up from the strength of our back. Press your feet down. You don't have to squeeze the legs together this time. Squeeze your glutes. Breathe in, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Good job. Okay, hands down, body up. Let's maybe do a few cat-cows if you want. And then come to child's pose. Take a breath. Until we're ready to come on to our backs. We'll just do a little twisting, and then we're gonna get either a kitchen chair, something with no arms, or maybe even better for most of us, it will be a couch. Okay, so if you're anywhere near a couch and it makes sense for you to use a couch, it's probably gonna be best. You might need to add a pillow or something so it's the perfect height, and I'll talk you through that. So just be prepared. Let's just make sure we're nice and comfortable on our backs here. Arms go out to the sides like a T. And we're gonna heel toe our feet wide and bring our knees together, and then start zigzagging or windshield wiping the knees side to side. Make it feel nice and good and relaxed. And for some of us, it's gonna feel even better if you, every time you go to bring the knees back up, instead of thinking about just getting knees up, you think about using your abdomen to press your sacrum or your low back down into the mat, and then you relax as you let them go the other way. So activating belly button down to get the knees up. So you're really thinking the knees are just going to go up because I'm pressing my pelvis back down into place. So this is my favorite way to do it. It feels really good for me. And so I think it'll feel really good for some of you. And also, guess what? You're using your abdominal muscles. Well, that's a good thing. Let's hold. So we're going to take it to the right. Hold for a moment, and you can turn your head to the left. We'll slide onto the right side again, so kind of a fetal position, but this time your head can be on your arm. Let's get our back straight a little bit, back straight. Extend your top leg toward me, and then try to rotate from the hip bone, from the hip joint. Try to rotate so the heel is up. And then I've got my beach towel right in your vision there. So the heel is up, and you're just gonna lift and lower a few times. You can take your top hand and place it on the floor in front of your chest. So we're taking these muscles here on your outer hip. They're called the adductor muscles. And we're strengthening them while they're extended, while the legs rotated inward. It's much needed by a lot of us for better stability and mobility in the whole pelvic and hip area, which again will improve your lower back, which will also improve your upper back. All right, let's go back to our position on our backs with the feet wide, the knees together. And let the knees go left. Look, turn your head to the right. We'll hang here for a bit, breathing in, breathing out. How's your back feeling? Breathe in, turn your head and come into fetal position the opposite direction. So I'm going to be turning away from you this time. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to turn my whole body, but you can turn away from me this time, I think. All right, so head on bottom arm, back relatively straight, knees stacking, and we'll extend the top leg forward, away from our hips and chest, and then rotate the leg downward so the heel is a little bit up, maybe not a lot up, but a little bit. Feel how you've released your piriformis muscle, gluteus medius, and then we're going to strengthen them in that extended position, which is so crazy healthy. Let's go up and down a little bit with the heel leading you up. We tend to often, at least in the West, always shorten the muscle to strengthen it. It's so good for it to strengthen it while it's in the long position, extended, and that's what we're doing with the outer thigh. You can feel it probably. All right, let's bring it in. Come back to the floor with your back on the floor and your knees up. Okay, so we're going to let all of this relax with our knees on something. So maybe just real quick, give them a good squeeze into your chest. And then grab a kitchen chair or move yourself to a couch. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. If your legs are longer than whatever chair or couch you're using, you might need to add a pillow or your like a folded up beach towel or something like that. And then what we want to do, this is called 90-90. We want to create a couple 90-degree angles with the body. So you're going to get the best benefits from this if your knees are truly directly over the hips. And what I find that usually people don't. They usually have their hips kind of back like this, so that's not a 90-degree angle. And truly, the benefits come more if you're in a true 90-degree angle with your hips really under your thighs. No, knees under your hips. With your hips under your knees is what I'm trying to say. So take a look. I have the best I can do right now, I think, with 90-degree angles from my calf to my thighs, and then another 90-degree angle from my thigh to my back. So 90-90. And that's going to allow your pelvis and your hips to reset in a beautiful way, to realign onto the floor. So with your palms out, palms up is what I mean, arms out. Are you holding on somewhere, like in your legs? Can you let them sink down? Now again, adding a pillow or a blanket if that helps you to have be able to relax into this 90-90 position. Breathe in. Let your thighs get heavy. Let them sink into the hip joints. Palms up so your arms, chest, shoulders are open. And then let's begin to notice up and down the back. You may find that you maybe never would have noticed this if it hadn't been, for yoga or hadn't been brought up to you, that you might be holding muscles in contraction in your back. It's very common. Am I pushing my back away from the floor instead of letting it fall down? So watch for that. Feel for that. Can you find that? Can you let it get heavy and sink down? Breathe in and out. Take a deep breath in and then exhale. And one more breath. Open mouth, exhale, release tension. Let it go. And before I have you completely go to quiet for your Shavasana, please know that however your back feels now it's not inevitable that this is how it is forever, or that it's going to get worse. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm such a believer in this because I had chronic pain from elementary school. And by junior high, it was every single day, 24 hours a day. It never left me alone. And that continued into my early 40s. And then thankfully, I had an amazing specialist that helped me understand the importance that I'm going to share with you now, the just super importance of taking time to breathe deeply, use my breath to extend the exhale longer, and to get in a position where I'm relaxing and I let those muscles come down. So like this 90-90 one is fabulous. It's one of my favorite ones. So breathe in, breathe out. So calming the nervous system down is one of the most important things you can do. That's where healing comes from. And it's that keyed up nervous system is where a lot of our pain comes from. And so you can heal through these different positions that help allow your spine to come back into a better alignment. And then we want to strengthen areas where we're off balance. So we might be strong or tight in some areas around our pelvis and back, and then a little not as strong and too loose in some of the other areas. Like I mentioned, the hamstrings is a common one. movement that breaks up some of that congestion and inflammation and scar tissue, trigger points. I'm going to let it go quiet. I'll end the class, and I highly recommend you stay for another 5 minutes. And if you have it, stay for a full 15 to 20 minutes total. There have been times when I've done this 90-90 position for 15 to 20 minutes every day when I was trying to get my lower back to release a bit when it wasn't releasing before. So highly recommend that. I'm going to allow the rest of your Shavasana to be quiet while I sign off. So thank you so much for letting me guide your yoga practice for back health. My name's Noelle, and I appreciate you being here. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.